Welcome back to another replay. Today we will be reviewing How to Cancer Division, your favorite division. Cancer Division, for those of you who don't know, basically means you want to grab 3 ships, if possible, that are slightly OP in their own special way. Now, for example, because the CVs right now are extremely OP, adding to the mixture another 2 boosters actually makes this a nice Cancer Division. A try-hard, if you will. You put 2 boosters in relatively strong points to prevent the enemy CV from doing anything, and then your CV, hopefully a Unicom CV, will be able to do so much more than the other CV, and thus allowing him to control the map, control the game, and pretty much do whatever the hell he wants. In this specific game, not only is it a Cancer Division, but it's also a pretty decent Worcester gameplay. Now, I am in the Worcester you're watching, playing my character, Soul Redemption, going off to C in order to block the enemy CV from doing anything along that line. The other Worcester is heading off to B. Now, this actually became a little bit of a special game because not only did we do a so-called Cancer Division or a try-hard division, but also our entire team was complete bozos, making this so much more interesting. Now, I am gonna speed this up just a little bit because this is just boring and nobody really cares about this, but in a second you're gonna be seeing my Worcester sitting behind an island like all Worcesters should do. Start early on. You should definitely find a place for you to sit behind an island in order to bombard whatever is that's coming on the opposite side. Now notice on this specific map there's a really nice island that sits on both sides of the sea cap, from the north and the south, that with the help of a nice gearing is actually even a better spot than what it was to begin with, because he provided me with smoke, allowing me to actually sit back comfortably while nuking the Republic and the Moskva. Now, as you can see, Leor over there in the other Worcester is sitting on the corner of B, allowing him both to shoot into B if need be, but also at whatever is sitting in A, and provide perfect cover, perfect AA cover to whatever will come down from the CV. And that's between the two of us with about what is it, about I think 8k distance on the AA. We pretty much overlap perfectly each other, and there's no way the CV is coming through unless he plans on losing either most or all of his planes and basically rendering himself useless for at least one run until he can come back again. But no CV really wants to do that. So the enemy Republic and Moscow are pushing on the side. I decide, well, this is a good opportunity for me to get the hell out of here, because if they push on me, they're definitely going to nuke me out of existence. And whoa, look at that! A wild Yogomo has appeared! Yogomo was stupid enough to stay in the cap even though he only has 2 friends to support him there. And he's trying to run. He's really trying to run. This is brutal. But it's just not gonna work. An enemy Des Moines to friendly to the Yogomo is sitting on the opposite side, but he's not gonna be able to do jack about that. As you may notice, in spite of the fact that we have the superior firepower, the superior CV, and Cancer Division, or Try-Hard Division, we are still losing. We're losing 3-1. Incredible. Why? Because the entire 3-man squad that went down to A, even though they knew they were alone, decided, well, I don't know, maybe we should all go and die. Just like it happens in most games. Fantastic, people. Good job. Now, in retrospect, we do have to thank them because they died so quickly. It actually allowed us to have a much better play. Gearing dies soon after, because why not, you know? There's a Des Moines there. Let's just go straight at him. He did allow us to kill the Yogomo, but he also allowed us to have a better gameplay. We must give thanks. Thank you, Gearing. Wonderful. As the game progresses, enemy CV is nowhere to be found. He's having a nice duel down there between fighters. The enemy team decides to push up on top. Lior decides that maybe that's a little bit too much and ditches B. Starts moving upwards. We lose the Harugumo in the process. Moskva comes around the island. Again, I must put, you are playing a Worcester. Your top priority should be to stay in cover. This ship is not meant to take a beating. It's not. It can go in the open, but it's not. It's not meant for that. Because if you want to put all your guns on anything, you're going to have to show a broadside. Whenever you want to show a broadside, it's preferred if nothing spots you, or if you're sitting behind an island that's big enough that you can pummel anybody behind it, but nobody can pummel you. Republic does go down to a combined force of the Montana, the Moskva, and the Yamato on our side. And he was already pretty low to begin with. I'm trying to make sure that the Moskva doesn't make it out, but with no detection, he eventually makes it out. Relatively low, and I do think he was, yes, he's still burning. He's still yep, still burning. The enemy Des Moines over there on the G7 square is pushing slightly upwards, while the other Des Moines is capping B. We are losing at this stage. It's a 5-3, and they have a almost 200-point lead. That's kind of bad. Yeah, that's definitely kind of bad. But it's about to get much worse. Much worse. At this point, I figured, well, there's nothing coming to see, and I better start moving down. They're gonna need support. Beowulf helps take down the Des Moines with the support of the Yamato, but goes down to the Moskva that I tried to take down, but there was no scouting for him because we have no DDs. The enemy team has one DD, and the CV decides now is the time to jump into the plains of Neil and into my AA. Obviously, a very smart, benevolent decision because it gives me so much points. I finally get some playing kills. That's fantastic. Thank you, enemy CV. You've done a great job. Great. Enemy Yamato pushes into B. Because why the hell not? I do not need the caps and I do not need the points. Let me put myself in a position that allows me to die. Fantastic, Yamato. Thank you very much for doing whatever it is you were doing, because you are the MVP of the month. Enemy Yamato basically decides that it's time to end his life quickly. He does get to survive this a little bit longer, but loses a lot of HP in the process. That Zhao in North Carolina sitting on top, running upwards. Gonna give us a little bit of a problem in a minute. And therefore I decide that maybe it's a good thing if I actually head towards them in order to neutralize that threat. That Moskva is still sitting down south, but the friendly Moskva decides to go after him. Neil sits behind an island on the edge of the map in order to protect the ship, like all CV should. Lior and the other Worcester in division with me takes the edge of the island sitting on the border of B, while I decide to take the northern part and try and support him against the other Worcester. Now, you have to remember, if you're in any sort of division, but especially if you're with a Worcester and and you guys are playing in a game with a CV, a carrier, you always want to try and take down whatever it is that can kill your CV's planes. In this case, the Worcester is not only a threat, but also in a division with the enemy CV. Therefore, he presents a prime example of what should be killed. He also has radar. It's a very viable, comfortable kill. For some reason, he decides that sitting in smoke is a good option when there's literally 2 radars around him, and he's taking a heap load of damage. Eventually, I do think he takes enough damage to go down. Speed this up a little bit. Yamato goes around the corner. I think that Yamato finishes him off. Moskva probably doesn't have AA. We'll end up going down to the enemy CV with all the torps and the bombers and everything else. The bomber seems to have done a really piss poor job of doing it. You didn't need all of that. I do have to say, if your CV has to use that much firepower to take down a Moscow with 17k, there's something wrong with your CV. Okay, let's just say it like that. It could have ended differently if the CV was slightly better. Zhao on north is pushing inwards in order to put some damage on us. There's IM detected currently. The Worcester survives. Oh my god, the Worcester survived with 2,200 off. Oh god, that's bad. There we go. The other, the enemy Moskva does eventually go down to Neil with a single bomber, like he should. Like he should. But this game is still sitting in a great disadvantage. 250 points less than the enemy team. In a 5 versus 6 situation, they still have a single D more. We don't have any Ds, they have one more. Neil uses my AA in order to target the enemy planes. Does the way it should be. You should be using your division, you should be using your people you're playing with in order to kill the enemy planes whenever possible. The Zhao now no longer spots me. He knows I'm here and starts turning away, but does not complete the turn and starts taking damage from me. Notice a Zhao versus a Worcester is normally a big loss unless you know how to deal with a Worcester, and unless you know how to play a Zhao really well. It's normally going to be a loss. A Confederate earned in the meantime. The Zhao launched torps at me, but this didn't calculate that I would spot it with Hydro. Thank God the Hydro was still on. Almost ran out, but just in time I saw the torps. The Zhao starts repairing. Uses the border, but too late, too little. Eventually goes down, giving me 176,000 damage and my first kill with a Confederate. At this point, we're finally in the lead on kills. They still have 2 caps, so we have 5 ships to their 3. There's a Des Moines that's sitting behind B. Again, probably the Des Moines wants to use the cover both of the planes and the island, but when you're playing with 2 Worcesters, you're not going to be doing much. And as long as he's detected, I'm going to be able to pummel him from behind the island. Notice what I'm doing here, and this is actually important for anybody who is not used to this and should get used to it. When you're using a ship, and I'm slowing down here for on purpose, when you're using a ship that can shoot over islands, you have a problem seeing whatever it is you're shooting. Notice that on the map, Wargaming over the last several patches, I think it was about 2 patches ago, added a tiny circle to show you where you're aiming at. Now if you know what direction your friend or whoever it is you're shooting at is going, you can aim that circle to take the lead on them through the map without actually necessarily seeing them. This helps a lot and should be taken advantage of. This is a fantastic feature for anybody who can take full effect of it. The friendly BBs, both BBs went down, the Montana and the Yamato, leaving this in a 3 versus 2 situation. We are currently again at a 150 point loss, and we don't have the caps. That Des Moines could have made a big difference if he killed the Worcester, but he decided to hide away, and by the time he decided to already push forward, Neil had come on top of him and knocked him down about 15,000 HP while I get the high caliber, and eventually he will go down to Lior and myself. Let's speed up a little bit. There we go. The Des Moines pushes forward. I see him slowing down. His engine is out. And that's the end of that. Hakorio tries to do his best in dealing with Lior, but Lior has AEA. He misses the first shots. There comes the second bombers. Again, to no effect. The Hakorio is pointless at this stage versus a complete try-hard division of 2 Worcesters and a midway, and we don't need the caps anymore or the points. All we need to do is finish the Hakorio and the game over. As you can see, Neil over there is launching torps to take away from us the little pleasure that we would have by killing the Hakorio. I do have to say I end up this game with about 200,000 damage and 2 kills, high caliber and a Confederate, 8 fires and only 10 plane kills. Obviously this division we came on top. I don't have the end screen, but I came on top, and then Neil, and then Lior. It wasn't too difficult, but eventually this turned out to be a decent game because most of our team was absolute potatoes, and they died so quickly, especially those 3 early on in A, who allowed us to actually just have a nice game with a decent amount of damage. Normally this is something that I wouldn't recommend because it just takes out the fun out of the game. But every now and then you get something nice, especially when you're trying to grind, you want to improve your stats, anything of that sort. This is a decent way of doing it. By the way, a Cancer Division or in Tryhard Division doesn't have to be 2 Worcesters in a CV. It can be 3 Stalin. It can be any 3 ships that do a good enough job of covering each other's flanks, sides, tops, and the likes. Stalingrads are good. I'm sure the new Alaska will be fantastic for that. So 2 or 3 Alaskas in a division would be really, really nice. Once the CVs have a change, then that's going to change as well. The Hakurio, just about, there we go, I get my 3rd kill there. Fantastic, it's game over, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this, or you don't like it, give it a thumbs up. To see more of this, please follow me up. I am Let's Play Potatoes. Find me on Twitch as well. Subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you again next time.